I'm Davy, and awesome! And welcome to Davy's Awesome Stories, where I tell a funny story from my past or go on a rant in an effort to make you laugh. This week I'm going to tell you about a time that my son and I were having a conversation, and he had the nerve to tell me,
"Man, we're having it rough these days."
"Oh, you guys got it so rough, so rough. You have no idea what you're talking about.
My favorite show was taken off the streaming service."
Sit back and listen to me tell you how rough we had it. We had no streaming services or DVRs. You had to watch what was on while it was on. And you couldn't just stop and come back to it later or pause and come back in a few minutes. No, if you had to go to the bathroom while you were watching something, you held it. You wiggled and squirmed in that chair, feeling like you were about to die, thankful that the commercials came on because you could run to the bathroom real quick. But then there was just that. You had to run to the bathroom. You had to hurry up and get back, or else you were going to miss the beginning of whatever came back. If you had to stop halfway through what you were watching, then you didn't know how it ended. And we could not pay extra just to not have ads. I don't pay extra not to have ads, but we didn't have that option. No, you had to sit there and watch the ads. We called them commercials. And even with the ads nowadays, the normal ad break is like 30 seconds to 1 minute. Those were like 2 to 3 minutes long. Watching the same commercials over and over again. And we didn't have all the options now. There are so many streaming services. If you have cable, you literally have thousands of channels. I remember thinking like, man, I hope someday we have the money to get like the premium cable package that will give us 52 channels. You wanted to watch certain things, you had to know when they were going to be on. We had to look at TV guides. A little stupid magazine that sat there and took up space in your house that you never threw away. It just sat there collecting dust until your mother was like, "It's 1998. Why do we still have TV guides from 1991? And you had to make up a reason to her why we still had it. You couldn't tell her because I'm just too lazy to pick it up and throw it in the trash. You had to tell her like, I think someday that TV guide with the picture of David Hasselhoff will be worth something. And you had to read through that TV guide to know what was going to be on and hope that it was accurate. And you had to plan it accordingly. You'd be like, okay, this is coming on Tuesday at 8 o'clock. I got to have my stuff done by Tuesday at 8 o'clock so I can watch this on Tuesday at 8 o'clock. And we were little kids and we had a bedtime. That really sucked because we had to hope that if it was on at Tuesday at 8 o'clock that it didn't go past 9 o'clock for us to go to bed, or we were not going to know how it ended. Or if you were watching something in the morning before school, you had to hope it would be over before you had to leave to go get the bus, or you were never going to know how it ended. There are certain Looney Tunes that I still to this day have no idea how they ended. And oh sure, we could record them if you had a blank tape. And it worked. And then there was even that. You ran out of blank tapes, but you were desperate to watch this, so you had to decide. You really wanted to watch this, but you're not going to be home. So is it worth losing what you had on that blank tape? Then you had to know how to program the VCR, which depending on the VCR, some were pretty simple, some were ridiculously complicated. And you had to hope everything went well. Like you had to hope there was enough tape on there to tape it. You had to hope nothing interrupted it. You had to hope that the film didn't break while it was recording. All these things happened to us several times. Oh yeah, let me tell you something. You think you have it rough now because a show you like got took off of a streaming service? Try having a show that you love coming around for the first time in 3 years, but you can't be there. You gotta go do some family event, and you don't have any blank tapes. That's how rough we had it. Then he talks about,
"This internet is going so slow."
oh, you want to talk about slow internet? Let me tell you about how rough we had it. First of all, when I was your age, we didn't even have the internet. I mean, it turned out that it was around, it was there, but nobody could afford it. Because when I was your age, getting on the internet was making a long-distance phone call.
What's a long-distance phone call?
That's for another video. But yes, internet was the price of a long-distance phone call. For however long you were on there, it was going to cost you that much. So you had to have some money. And not to mention, to navigate the internet at that time, it wasn't like it is now. It wasn't user-friendly like it is now, where pretty much anybody can do it. You had to be a nerd. Like a computer nerd. You had to know about that stuff. But then, when I was a teenager and the internet started getting popular, because one, it started being a little cheaper. A little. Like, to get the internet wasn't that expensive. But to use it, it wasn't the price of a long-distance phone call anymore. But if you wanted to be able to get phone calls while you were on the internet, you had to have a separate phone line.
What's a phone line?
We'll get to that later. And then getting on the internet wasn't as great as it is now. I mean, sure, there were things on there. It was kind of fun. You could talk to people from all over the world, and the internet was new enough, and we were young and innocent enough to believe that the female we were talking to was, in fact, a female, and not some fat dude trolling us, because we didn't even know what that was yet. But it certainly wasn't like it is now. Like in later years, you could download music, but you couldn't listen to it directly off the internet. Not unless you really had all day to listen to a 3-minute song, because it would take that long to download. And then it would come in choppy. Like you'd get 3 seconds of the song and then buffering. And as far as watching videos, like on the YouTubes, no, that wasn't going to happen. You could maybe download a clip consisting of 15 to 30 seconds if you had 3 to 4 hours to kill. Because you would sit there and spend 3 to 4 hours to get a freaking 30-second clip that would make you laugh. Heck, my buddy Rob Kindler, I remember how excited he was after he had spent a couple of hours downloading Bambi Meets Godzilla. It's a 9-second movie. And then being teenagers, we really had it bad because we were teenage boys. We wanted to look at certain things on the internet. Good luck. Because it wasn't like now, where it's available on a phone. Phones didn't have internet. We didn't have any tablets. Laptops sucked back then. They were bulky. People were bragging that they had 5 gigabytes of memory. That's not even half of one of my videos. Now, to get on the internet, you had to have one of the big, bulky computers. It was usually in a family room where everybody was around. So if you wanted to be sneaky and go look at things that you were not supposed to, you had to do that at 2 o'clock in the morning and hope that everybody slept through the fax machine going off as you were connecting to the internet. Because it wasn't just there like it is now, where you just automatically get on and you're like, oh, the internet, here it is. No, you had to click on the internet. You had to say, yes, I want to go on the internet. And then you had to wait for the dial-up. That very loud fax machine thing going like, you just woke up the entire house. That's how rough we had it, boy.
I can't wait to have a cell phone. Life's rough without a cell phone.
No, he does not have a cell phone. He's 11. But then that sparked it. Boy, we did not have cell phones when I was growing up. I mean, they existed. They were out there. But again, if you had one, you had money. Because again, every phone call you made on a cell phone was a long-distance phone call. We had regular phones. The ones you see in a movie and go like, what is that? And I tell you it's a phone. You're like, wow. That's what we had. Those kinds of phones. Where you had to pick it up and dial buttons. Which meant you had to know the number you were trying to call. Because there were no contact lists. The contact list was the little booklet you kept next to the phone with numbers you wrote down because you can't possibly remember everybody's phone number. But if that little booklet got lost or damaged, some water spilled on it or something, there were people you were never going to talk to again. And then even cell phones themselves didn't have contact lists. The old school cell phones, you know what the contact list was? A little strip of paper in the middle of the phone that you could write a phone number on, which usually was the phone number to that phone. And that's if they worked anywhere. No, by the time I was your age, we had what was called a landline phone, or as we just called it, a phone. And all you could do was call people or receive phone calls. That was it. I remember being excited when caller ID came out because I could see the name and number of the person calling me and decide if I wanted to talk to them. Before that, it was a gamble. It would be like now if I answered my phone and was like, okay, here we go. Hello? Damn, I didn't want to talk to you. That's what we had. It was always a gamble. We'd screen our calls by letting it go to the answering machine. A machine that got your messages. Not like voicemail today, where it's just right there on your phone. It was a machine. And because you didn't want to talk to certain people, you'd let it pick up. You'd hear that it was actually somebody you wanted to talk to. So you'd have to decide, how badly do I want to talk to them? Because if I go over and answer now, I've got to go through at least 10 seconds of, yeah, I'm here. That's what we went through. And that was if we had a touch-tone phone. I'm not old enough to where every household had rotary phones, but there was a time that my parents did have a rotary phone, and man, was that annoying. Ugh. You had to not only know the number, but you had to have the patience to dial it. Because you had to sit there dialing a crank going, 1, 7, 7, 5. It was rolling 4. In fact, in the day of the rotary phone, if somebody had too many zeros in their number, You probably didn't call them much. And there was no text messaging. I will say this, I love text messaging because sometimes I don't have a lot to say to you. I just quickly want to let you know, hey, I'm on my way. Or let you know really quickly, like, yes, I picked that up. I don't want to sit there and have a long-winded conversation where for most of it we're going to be sitting there going, yeah, so, yeah. Yeah. So, I don't want to sit there and have to come up with an excuse to not talk to you anymore. Let's just say what we got to say and be done. Texting. We didn't have texting when I was a kid. No, our version of text messaging was this. Your mother would get a phone call. You have a collect call from caller. At the tone, please say your name. Mom, it's me, Davy. Don't accept the charges. I'm just letting you know me and my friends are going to the movies. I'll be home later. Bye. To accept the charges, please press 1. That was text messaging when I was a kid. That is how rough we had it when I was a kid. So you sit there and you whine and complain about how rough you've got it. But at least you weren't busy like we were. Busy trying to watch the crap that was on while it was on, while waiting for the internet to dial up, and answering the phone call to somebody we didn't want to talk to in the first place. That's how rough we had it. So there you have it. That's my story video this week. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and if you did, make sure to hit like, hit subscribe, hit that little bell so you get notifications when I post new videos, and leave a comment. Tell us some more things that this generation doesn't understand of how rough we had it. Love you guys.